Okay, on this video, I'm going to show you how to solve absolute value inequalities. So we have solved absolute value equations before, and we're going to start out kind of the same way. So we're going to ignore the fact that it's a less than 13 right now. We're going to solve it like it's an equation. So you're going to have x plus 10 equals 13. No, you're not. You're going to have minus, because you have to copy the problem down correctly before you can get the answer correct. Okay, then over here you're going to have x minus 10 equals negative 13. So if you remember, when we had absolute value equations, we broke them into two equations. One of them equaled the regular number, and one of them equaled the negative number. So now I'm going to add 10 to both sides, and that gives me x equals 23. I'm going to add 10 to both sides here, and that's going to give me x equals negative 3. So now this is where it's a little bit different. You're going to make a number line. You're going to put negative 3 on it and 23 on it. And then you're going to check numbers that are smaller than both of them. So you're dividing the numbers up. All the numbers in the world are in 3 sections. Any number in the world is either less than both of them, so it's less than negative 3. It's in between negative 3 and 23, or it's bigger than both of them. So we're going to pick a number in each section and check to see if it works. So you can pick anything smaller than negative 3. So I'm going to pick negative 5. Okay? Well, if I take negative 5 and put it up in here, then I have negative 5 minus 10 is less than 13. Now I'm checking to see if this is true. Negative 5 minus 10 is negative 15, and the absolute value of negative 15 is positive 15. And so I'm checking to see, is this true? Well, it's not. 15 is not less than 13. So this is false. Or you could say no, like it doesn't work in this section. I picked negative 5 and it didn't work, so any number in this section doesn't work. Now pick any number between negative 3 and 23. I like to pick 0 if I can. So I'm going to pick 0 and I'm going to plug it in and check it. So the absolute value of 0 minus 10 is less than 13, and I'm wondering if that's true. 0 minus 10 is negative 10, so I have the absolute value of negative 10. The absolute value of negative 10 is positive 10. And so is 10 less than 13? Yes, it is. So any number in between negative 3 and 23 is going to work. Now I pick a number bigger than 23. Let's say I pick 25. So now I have the absolute value of 25 minus 10 is less than 13. Well, 25 minus 10 is 15. 15 is not less than 13. And this is just coincidence that I got a 15 on the inside when I picked my first number and 15 on the inside when I picked my third number. But 15 is not less than 13, so this is also a no. So your answer is this section. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. Your answer is this section where you get yes. Well, where'd that come from? That come from everything in between negative 3 and 23. So you could express your answer. I should have made more room here. You can express your answer on a number line. So negative 3 and 23, and an open circle and an open circle, and connect between the two. That's everything between negative 3 and 23, which is where my yeses came from. And I use an open circle because my original sign is less than, not less than or equal to. Okay, so we're going to solve the inequality, make a number line, and then check those values. So I'm going to use another piece of paper for this next problem. Okay, so I have the absolute value of 5 plus x is greater than 1. Okay, so we want to know where that's true. So we start by breaking it into two equations. 5 plus x equals 1, and 5 plus x equals negative 1. So we solve both of those. Subtract 5 from both sides. X equals negative 4. Subtract 5 from both sides. X equals negative 6. So So now I make a number line with those numbers. Make sure you put them in the right order. So negative 6 is going to be over here. Negative 4 is going to be there because negative 6 is smaller than negative 4. There really should be arrows on here because that represents all the numbers in the world. Okay, so now I need to check numbers in each section. So I'm going to pick a negative 7, I'm going to pick a 0, and I'm going to pick, oh, no, 0 isn't there. 0 would be over here because 0 is bigger than both of those. So I'm going to pick negative 5 in here. Okay, so I go back to my original problem and I plug these numbers in that I've circled that I'm going to test. So I have the absolute value of 5 plus negative 7, and I want to know if it's greater than 1. Okay, so negative 4 and negative 6 were my numbers that I got for my solutions. I make a number line with those numbers. I pick a number in each section, and now I'm testing those. So negative 7 goes in for x. Well, 5 plus negative 7 is negative 2, and the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. And I'm comparing it to 1. I want to know if it's bigger than 1. Well, is 2 bigger than 1? Yes, it is. Well, I picked negative 7, so I come over here to the section where negative 7 is, and I say yes. Now I'm going to try negative 5. So my problem is 5 plus x, and I'm going to plug negative 5 in for x, and I want to know if it's greater than 1. Well, 5 plus negative 5 is 0. And the absolute value of 0 is 0. Is 0 greater than 1? No, it is not. So negative 5 is a no, or that whole section is a no. Now I'm going to try 0. Absolute value of 5 plus 0 is greater than 1. Well, 5 plus 0 is 5, so I've got the absolute value of 5. Absolute value of 5 is regular 5, and that is greater than 1. So my answer is yes. Okay, so my result here is everything bigger than 4 and everything smaller than negative 6. So if I go to my number line to answer the question, just show my answer, I mark negative 6, I mark 4. I'm going to have an open circle shaded to the right because I want all the numbers in this section. And I'm going to have an open circle shaded to the left because I want this section. Do you see how where I got my yeses corresponds or matches with where my arrows are? And remember, I know that it's an open circle because it's a greater than, not a greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to or less than or equal to will have a closed dot. Okay, let's do another one. So let's say we have the absolute value of 6 plus 2x minus 2 is less than or equal to 10. The first thing we have to do is get our absolute value alone. On the problems before, it was already alone, so I was ready to make my two equations. But I can't break them into two equations until I get rid of this minus 2. So I need to add 2 to both sides. So now I have the absolute value of 6 plus 2x is less than or equal to 12. Now I'm going to break it into two equations. 6 plus 2x is equal to 12, and 6 plus 2x is equal to negative 12. Now I solve both of them. Negative 6, 2x equals 6, divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 3. Come over here and do the same thing. Negative 6, 2x equals negative 18, divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals negative 9. Now I make my number line, putting the negative 9 on the left side because negative 9 is smaller than positive 3. Now I'm ready to check my numbers. So I'm going to pick something smaller than negative 9, something in between negative 9 and 3, well that'd be 0, and then something bigger than 4, or bigger than 3, so I'm going to pick 4. Now I need to check to see if those numbers work. So I can go back to this spot right, let's go back to the original. I would use this one, but I don't want you guys to use these. So let's do this. Let's use the equation right before we break it into 2. That will be easy if we all do it the same way. So I'm going to take negative 10 and plug it in for x, okay? So I've got absolute value of 6 plus 2, parentheses, negative 10, and then the absolute value, and I want to know if that's less than or equal to 12. So again, I'm picking negative 10 because it's some number that's smaller than negative 9. I'm putting it in place of x. 2x means multiply, so I'm writing it like multiply. So this is 6 minus 20, because 2 times negative 10 is a negative 20. You could also write 6 plus a negative 20. 6 minus 20 is negative 14. And the absolute value of negative 14 is positive 14. And we want to know if that is less than or equal to 12. Well, it's not. 14 is more than 12, so this is a no. So in this section, I get a no. Okay, now I'm going to plug in 0. Absolute value of 6 plus 2 times 0 is less than or equal to 12. Anything times 0 is 0, so this becomes 6 plus 0. 6 plus 0 is 6, so I have the absolute value of 6. Absolute value of 6 is regular 6, and I want to know if that is less than or equal to 12. And yes, it is. So my middle section, where the 0 came from, gives me a yes. Now the last number I need to pick is a 4. Absolute value of 6 plus 2 times 4 is less than or equal to 12. 2 times 4 is 8, so I have 6 plus 8. 6 plus 8 is 14, so I have the absolute value of 14. Absolute value of 14 is regular 14. Is that less than 12? No, it is not. So I have a no there. So you come back over to your sections. When I plugged in negative 10, it didn't work. When I plugged in 0, it did work. When I plugged in 4, it did not work. So this is my section of numbers that answers my question. These are the numbers that if I plug into my original problem, it will be true, it will work. So my answer is going to be negative 9 to 3, and I want closed dots because it's less than or equal to. I have an equal to there, so it means it's going to be a closed dot. And I want the numbers in between there, so I'm going to shade my line in between there. Okay, so this is the first part of the examples. I will do 2 more examples on the next video.